From Asia to Africa, from the Middle East to Europe and beyond, the global persecution of Christians becomes more ominous with every passing year. In light of that, Family Research Council's Lela Gilbert, Ariel Del Turco, and Lieutenant General Jerry Boykin released a new book called Heroic Faith: Hope Amid Global Persecution, to serve as a tribute to the courageous believers who face grave and often deadly threats, yet bravely persevere in their devotion to Jesus. Joining me now to discuss this new book and more is Lela Gilbert. She's the Senior Fellow for International Religious Freedom here at FRC. Lela, welcome back to Washington Watch.
Thank you. I'm so glad to see you.
It's good to see you. We are so thankful for your diligence in bringing these stories that really don't get enough attention to light. Tell us, what prompted you to write this book?
Well, several people thought about the possibility of doing it because there hasn't been a current book about this issue for quite a while. And we had a lot of stories and we had access to them. And it's getting so bad in so many places that I think for me, it just seemed like time to instruct and inform American Christians and Western Christians about what's really going on in the rest of the world and how difficult these situations are. Really, massacres of people, terrible things are happening, and they're not really reported much here. So I thought it was a good time myself, and there were others as well that thought it would be a good idea.
I know this book includes a lot of stories, and one of them is Lela Sharabou, who's still being held by Boko Haram. Her story is a particular focus in the book. Tell us a little bit about her and why hers is a story that you want people to know about.
Well, one of the main reasons is because she represents so many other kidnapped women and girls, particularly in Africa and the Middle East. Lela was kidnapped in 2018 by Boko Haram. She was the only Christian that wouldn't deny her faith. Some of the other girls were Christian, apparently, but most of them were Muslim girls. But she refused to deny her faith, and she was not released. Many of the others were. And she still remains in captivity today, kept by the warlords of that group. And we pray for her. We still see that she's being held, and now she has 2 children by this warlord. And so it's a tragic, horrible situation. It represents, as I said, so many other women and girls, but many priests, many pastors as well, that are being treated so abusively in that country, in Nigeria, with really no response from the rest of the world. But we also write about the Middle East, and we write about, we have written quite a few stories from there, and China. So we have Asia, we have Africa, we have the Middle East, and then there's a separate chapter on Afghanistan because of the current situation there of so many Christians still needing to get out of there because of persecution.
Lela, as you have surveyed, as you just described, the entire globe really to tell these stories, have you noticed any patterns of the conditions that really lead to persecution for people's faith?
The 2 primary problems are with radical Islam and with totalitarian governments, many of which are either communist or formerly communist. And the dictatorships of individuals who want to have things their way. But I would say most of what I've seen has been radical Islam, except in China and Asia. So we have these elements that lead to random captivity, some of them by these groups like Boko Haram, Fulani radicals, various groups, and some of them are state-sponsored, as in China, and some of the Middle Eastern countries like Iran, it's very much state-sponsored. And in fact, I just learned that 1/3 of the arrests in the last few months of Christians in Iran have been by the Iranian army, or the Iranian army itself. And they are also reaching out to other countries going after Christians. So they really find Christianity to be quite a threat to them.
Now, Lela, one of the things that happens when we read these stories is we just become grateful because despite the legitimate and serious concerns there are about religious freedom in the United States, it is in a different class altogether than what so many other people around the globe are experiencing. In addition to just being grateful, to praying for those who are being persecuted around the globe, are there things that Americans should learn from this about our experience that we should actually be applying? Are there lessons that Americans should understand from the stories of people around the world?
One of the things I thought about a lot when we were working on the book was how well we have it here. We do have issues with our churches, with religion. We know we have political threats, but we live well. We have wonderful freedoms here. And what I thought of was that we should be making a point of trying to reach out to these people in any way we can, through prayer, of course. But one thing that we've done at FRC is work with government officials and try to influence our government toward making a difference in countries like this. And really, there are organizations that we can support that actually work on the ground in such places. There's so many things we can do, but I think it begins with us realizing that we are the hands that can help. And we need to find out more about what we can actually do, who we can support, and who we can inform about what's really going on in most of the world.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And Lela, we are grateful for this. I'm excited to get our hands on this. I know this is just released. Tell people where they can get a copy of your book.
Well, FRC is making it available through a link, and it can be ordered through frc.org/heroicfaith. And so going to that link on a computer, you can find opportunities to get the book. And I hope people will read it. I think it's a good education for us all, whether we wrote on it or whether we actually have lived in America so freely and so well.
And it's a good reminder not to take our freedoms for granted. We're thankful for your efforts on that, as well as those of Ariel Del Turco and Lieutenant General Jerry Boykin, the co-authors with you. But Lela Gilbert, we appreciate your efforts, your diligence on this critical, underrated issue, and your time today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.